This is Karen with NewClevelandRadio.net. And today I have on Mark and Jill, and they've been playing together for a while. Both are wonderful musicians from one of my favorite places in the whole world, Saratoga Springs. And, this past year, most of you have been like working in this new media called Zoom and Facebook Live. Uh, what's that been like for live stage performers?
It's been weird, that's for sure. I mean, we've gotten used to it, I guess. Last summer, we had an opportunity to do a few live things because you could play out in the summer. There was some outdoor opportunities, so that was good. But the winter certainly was all indoors. And I was actually telling this to somebody just yesterday that it's a little bit like a Twilight Zone episode. And like we did a couple of things at Cafe Lena, and it's like your classic Twilight Zone story of like you step to the stage, in the big stage, the lights are on, you step up to the microphone, you sing your song, and then you look out and there's no people in the audience. And that's what it was like. We did a few of these things at Cafe Lena where we were in the cafe, but there were no people.
The only people that were there were your technical people.
Correct.
Yeah.
Joe was there.
Yes.
Yep.
And he was good. And Joe Moss was there.
Yep.
So that was good.
And Reese.
Reese was there. Yeah.
Absolutely. So at least you had a few people that you could make eye contact with, but
Yeah.
it has to be difficult, especially when, you take a lot of value in the response from your audience. And here you are doing something in front of a camera, and those other people that were working there, they're busy doing their thing. And even though they may be listening, they're not listening as attentively as an audience would. And now you're done with a selection, and it's like, there's no clapping, there's no booing, nothing.
No response, no response, anything. Yeah, and even when we were there, the couple of people that are doing the support work, they're not even necessarily in that room.
Right.
Joel's in the other room doing the sound. Yeah, it's a bit of an abstract world we've been in, where everyone's in their own little isolated pod. We did do one thing last time. We played at the cafe that I brought my laptop and I put it down on the stage, and just in between the songs I picked up, just so I could see who was out there. Because people are commenting live, but you're not necessarily seeing them.
Right.
Yep. Absolutely.
So that was kind of fun. So I did see some people were watching or had commented. So then I could kind of talk to them. It wasn't a real conversation because we weren't going back and forth, but at least there was some recognition that somebody was out there.
Well, we did one show probably about 6 months ago with some local performers here in Cleveland. We did a Zoom show. They were all in their own, little bubble. And then we allowed them to invite up to 10 people to log in on Zoom.
Nice.
And so we had about 50 people listening live. And in between selections, we opened up their mics so there could be some conversation going back and forth. It got a little out of hand, but it did help quite a bit because they were trying out new material.
Yeah.
And it was different than just being Facebook Live or doing a YouTube Live and like just having those comments that
Sure.
you could just read and respond to. So
in the live show, you play a song and you can see the body movement, somebody's head, kind of nod along with it, or just, I don't really do this, and I don't think Jill does this really for the applause, so to speak, the accolades, but it's the human connection, the fact that you're singing and playing something and other people are obviously responding, and there's a lot of energy in that.
Yeah.
It was missing this year.
well, and maybe you're not playing for the applause, but you are playing to connect with them, like you said. Okay.
Yeah. Exactly.
I spoke to another musician yesterday, and was interesting. I listened to his music, which is not necessarily the type of music I would listen to regularly. And so I was having a hard time before my interview with him because I wanted to come out and say, I really like your music. But I had to listen to it numerous times. And it wasn't so much that I was liking it, but I was feeling it. And
Sure.
there, and that's a difference.
Yeah, right,
Yeah.
exactly. Yeah, for sure. And that's the thing, that when you do it live, you can see people responding, you know? I mean, we do a lot of, you know, fairly obscure, older blues stuff from the 20s and the 30s. Many of these songs people haven't heard, but they feel the human, you know, empathy or the human connection from the
Yeah.
songs. And you see people responding to that.
Absolutely. So I believe it was the last time we spoke, or maybe prior to that, didn't the two of you participate in some sort of competition down in Nashville?
Yes, actually Memphis,
Memphis.
the
Okay.
International Blues Competition.
So what was that like?
Fabulous.
That was great. It was like the last, it was like the last big thing that we did.
It was January 2020 into February. So we were actually in Memphis when the first COVID case hit the US and New York. So when we came home, everything shut down.
Yeah.
But
So it was great to have something to do just before it all ended. Right?
definitely, it was fantastic.
And it
So
was a well-run event. It was international. It was a lot of fun. It was great.
Yes.
so during the last year, have you been able to create some new music for us?
We've been working on some stuff. Yeah, we've been working on some songs, and yeah, it's, you know, I've heard a few people that write songs say this. They say, you know, songwriting can be a great sort of way to work things out, you know, but it also can be sort of tough to write when you're actually in the middle of it. Sometimes it's easier to kind of go back, but it's been yeah, it's been part of the process, for sure.
So I just learned something recently from some other musicians that it's and you sort of alluded to it, that you might write something this week, this month, but you don't think it's quite ready. So you put it away and you
Yeah,
might forget it for weeks, months, years,
correct.
and then
Definitely.
bring it out again.
Yeah, for sure.
Um,
Yeah.
And it's interesting because when I have an idea, I just want to take that idea from beginning to end and present it. But yet musicians seem to think a little differently. Can you explain why?
I think that's individual. I know some people that always like, hey, this is a new thing, or you know, like I just wrote this song I'm working on. They want to play it right then and there. Some people do. I think for myself, writing songs and some of the stuff that Jill and I have done, it's born, right? And it's whole, or at least the whole idea is there. But that one little line is not quite right. You know, this other little line, you know, just needs to be fine-tuned. So sometimes that'll take a little time. And
Okay.
then sometimes we've experienced a thing where there's certain songs, even songs that necessarily we didn't necessarily write, where we like them and we try them and like, no, it's not quite right.
yeah.
And then, you know, we try it a little different, it didn't really work. And then you revisit it sometime later and all of a sudden, oh yeah, that works. I don't know what changed. If it's just sometimes you work at things too hard, it starts to be like, this is like work. Georgia was like that. We
Yeah.
recently started doing that Hoagie Carmichael song, Georgia on My Mind. And we tried it a long time ago and couldn't get it to go. But then we
So-
came back to it. We came
Yeah.
back to it. Yeah, it's things are funny there.
So before we went live, I said to you, "Hey, do you have a date coming up at Cafe Lena?" And so far, no.
Yeah.
But you know what? I think we need to put in a plug here that we need you back on stage there with
Okay.
people in the audience.
Right.
Sure.
And
Well,
I
we had a funny thing that, you know, Joe mentioned about, we went to the blues competition that
Yeah.
she mentioned. And so just before that, sort of the send off, we
Yeah.
did a show at Cafe Lena.
right.
I think we maybe had been on the podcast just before then. So we did this send off show. at the cafe before we went to the Memphis to the blues challenge. And there's a guy that works there, works with the cafe, who you probably know. His name is Joel Moss. I believe that you have met.
Yes.
I believe he's your brother. And so he works doing the recording. Of course, he's, you know, internationally renowned as a producer, and he's done, you know, all kinds of high profile projects from many, you know, great people. Well, he was there and he recorded the show. And so and it came out quite good, because we were practicing these songs to go to the competition. So the set list was pretty tight. And so we made an album, the Live at Cafe, Lena, and we had a date set for the launch of the CD, which is kind of a big thing. It's nice to have an event. So we had a date at Cafe Lena. We're going to do a CD release launch for a show that was recorded at Cafe Lena. And then, of course, it kind of fell with a thud, because while we did do the release show, we did it virtual.
Right.
Yeah.
We did not do it with a live audience. So for us to get back to the cafe would be good.
Yes.
Right?
Absolutely.
We will get there.
It could be a reintroduction of
Yeah, exactly.
the
So,
album. Absolutely. And I know that performing right now at Cafe Lena is going to be a little odd as well, because everybody's going to be wearing their mask during the show. And I love the fact that they're taking those precautions, because here in Cleveland, you go someplace that has a live audience, and yes, you are separated, but you know, nobody's wearing a mask. And
yeah.
you know, I may have my vaccines, but I'm still a little cautious as
Yep.
to the air that I'm breathing. So it's going to be a little strange though, because you're going to be looking out at a group of people with a mask on their face. You're not going to see their smiles, but you're going to see them moving in their seats.
Sure. That, you know, sometimes actually sitting on that stage, the way the light kind of comes down into your eyes, it's funny because, and this is true for a lot of stages, if you're in the audience, you can see the person on stage easily, right? The light's on them. But if you're on stage, when you look out, it's kind of dark. You don't really see people clearly as far as their face and whatnot. But what you see is sort of that body language. Are they moving? You know, and then, you know, look, let's face it, Cafe Lena is a pretty polite house. So at the end of the song, there's always going to be people clapping. But when you sing a song and people actually like it, it's different. Like you get an actual response. You can feel that response.
Absolutely. So how long have the two of you been working together?
We've both done different things over the years, but I think as a duo, 2 years?
Yeah, I think so.
About 2 years, yeah. Mhm.
Yeah.
So what made the two of you decide to become this duo?
Well,
Put you on the spot.
so my take on that, I think Joe would say this is the story, is that, so I do a bunch of different things, and I've played a lot for, you know, I've played Cafe Lena 20, 30 times, you know, played a lot of different things with a lot of different outfits over the years. I write a lot of songs, and I do a lot of different kinds of things, but my real initial interest in music comes from the early blues.
Okay.
Some of those earlier recordings from the 20s and 30s. That's kind of the music that for whatever reason, you know, you get exposed to everything in America. That's the beauty here, right? You're
Yes.
exposed to all kinds of things. That was the thing that really hit for me. But it's you know, what a lot of people sing is sort of derived from that music, or even derived from something that was derived from something that was derived from that music. You know what I mean? Anyways, so I walked into a bar. This is the actual story.
Okay.
And this gal was up at the microphone, and she was singing a blues song from the 1920s.
Yes.
It was originally recorded by an artist named Ida Cox.
Yep.
Quite well known. And that was Joe. And so she's singing, and I was like, okay, so who is this girl? Nobody sings songs like that. That's like something I would sing. So, I think we just got to get, actually, the first couple of songs we did actually were gospel songs, right?
Yeah, because that was the night we met, and then he was going to go play a couple of songs, so he asked me to come up and sing the gospel songs with him. And I was like, I don't know if I know them. And he was like, it's okay. It's call and response. Just follow me. So I did. And that went well.
Yeah, so there was two things there, really. One was that she knew the blues, and two, I got up on stage to sing a song she'd never heard before, and she did great. I was like, well, this is going to work. I mean, in our duo, Jill sings a lot of songs, and I just play guitar, which is a real joy for me. I just get to play, which is, it's, I don't know, it's different. You can play guitar in a different way if you're not actually singing, but she's also a great harmony singer. And so she will sing with me on a lot of the stuff. And so that was demonstrated that first time. She sang a song you never even heard it before.
How it, and it's interesting because, and I've referred to this a lot, and probably even in the last podcast that we did, it's interesting how musicians like to help each other out and work with each other. As an audience member, sometimes you think, uh, there's a lot of conflict between musicians, but I don't see that. I see it's more of a camaraderie. Like, hey, you can make me look better if you do this, and I can make, this will be make me feel better if I only have to concentrate in this one area. And I wish we could do that in the rest of the world.
Yeah, I don't want to get into the politics.
Yeah, well, we're not going to, but the comment is we
I
need
mean, there is sometimes competition too, I think, but I have definitely heard a lot of people say that I've done really well by surrounding myself with great people. Because if you have other people play with you, it adds to the whole thing,
Sure.
And like what you just said, that if I only have to play guitar and Joe's going to sing, then I can kind of focus more on that and do other things that I might not be able to do when I'm actually doing the song myself.
Absolutely.
And
So
we have a few other people that will join us that we play with. Frank Orsini, who was on the recording, he plays a fiddle and a mandolin. He sings a little bit too, and he comes in with us too, and then that adds a whole nother dimension, where you kind of play off of each other, feed off of each other a little bit.
absolutely. So for the last couple years, I have not watched any of these singing competitions on TV. Okay. But one of the things I've noticed this year, and I'm only watching it because there's really been nothing else to watch on TV. So I've been watching American Idol, and one of the things I have found is the contestants are helping each other more. They're, even though they want to win individually, they want to learn from each other, and
Yeah.
they're helping each other out. And I just think that is a great message that we can share and look at.
Yeah, you don't have to diminish somebody else to make you better. And I think we definitely saw that in Memphis. We went to this blues competition. I can't remember how many people. It was like something like 400 competitors.
Oh,
right?
wow.
So, and there's two different categories. There's a band category, then a solo duo category. But we can do the math. Out of 400 competitors, there's only two people that are going to win in those two categories. So that means most of the people aren't really there to win. And we found tremendous support amongst the other people that were competing.
Definitely.
They were rooting for you. If you were playing, and then you kind of rooted for them, and just kind of like you all felt like you were part of something.
Yes.
Yeah, wonderful. So do you have any bookings coming up that people in the capital area can find you at?
If you go to rootblues.com, that's the website, ROOT blues.com. We'll list all of our gigs there. We're starting to book some stuff for the summer. The summer's looking a little bit. We're doing a thing at the Bennington Museum. We have some things up in Glens Falls. We have some things are coming up. I feel like around here and maybe everywhere in the country, we're both vaxxed. A lot of people are vaxxed. And then as spring and summer come, you can do more things outside. I think it's getting easier. It's definitely getting better. And I think there's a general feeling,
Yes.
Jill is an ER nurse. She's been on the front line this whole time.
Wow. I didn't
And
realize that.
Yes.
yeah, so she dealt with the pandemic head on, and she's definitely seeing a lot of these changes, things opening up, things getting a little better.
And in the beginning, your community really was one of the safest. And then all of a sudden it exploded there for a while, uh,
Yes.
which was very scary for me having, family and friends up there. And my niece and her kids had just moved up there from uh, cross country. And it was like, oh my gosh, what happened? I mean, a week ago, there were no cases and now you're being flooded. So what was that like for you in the ER?
It was not fun. Um, I would say our busiest months we started in the fall, as soon as everybody sort of moved indoors and the holidays and people were moving around, traveling and shopping and all the things, partying. So it rose very quickly. We went from a typical day to, I don't know, 5 times that as far as numbers are concerned. And, our staffing did not increase. So it was very hard. It was scary. And it was a little bit tough. There was a lot of worries from all of us working, both from home to be at work, worried about patients, families, everybody. And then it dropped off pretty quickly too, thank goodness. So once it started to decline, we came down the mountain pretty quickly, which I feel better about. I do think we're on a little bit of a rise right now, but not anything like we went through before. So, I'm hoping that we're not going to ever do that again. So,
Yeah, it's
um,
it's been a learning experience for all of us. And appreciating, the frontline workers that in the past we just assumed, well, yeah, that's what you do, that's your job. But your job has become even more involved. And uh, I will tell you that I was doing some volunteer work here in the city, and when I was told, no, you can't do it anymore,
yeah,
uh, it it upset me at first. It was like, well, I'll wear a mask and I'll wear gloves and I'll wear a shield. And they said, no, you are not a frontline worker. And so therefore, please stay home. Um, but there were a lot of us who wanted to get involved, and it wasn't,
sure.
we wanted to be heroes. We just
Right.
wanted to be there and help. So um, maybe there'll be some music that will come out of your experience.
Maybe.
You gotta process all of that. And put it in your head.
And
Yeah, I think that the majority of us are still kind of trying to process it. The company that I work for is certainly spending a little bit of time and effort trying to help us process all of the things that we kind of went to. I feel like there's a lot less fear inside the hospital with the nurses and whatnot currently. And at the end of the day, we actually do feel like it is our job. This is what we do. It just got suddenly publicized. So
absolutely, absolutely.
it's suddenly in everybody else's minds. So
And it definitely got more dangerous. You were
yeah,
in a situation where you were exposed to hundreds of people every day that had
that
COVID.
had COVID.
Yeah.
So, and I guess, since I didn't get it, I did learn, and I think that's where our fear has dissipated a little bit. Myself and my coworkers feel like we know what to do to protect ourselves. And so we're more comfortable with that now. So we're not afraid to be hands-on with the COVID patients and their families and whatever we need to do.
Yeah.
So, but in the beginning, the fear was painful.
Well,
So,
and because it was such an unknown. Okay.
Exactly.
sure.
Yeah. A lot
And
of things is not known, right?
Well, it
right.
was unknown, and also we didn't really have the supplies that we needed in the beginning, and they were restricting it. And we're still using new practices as far as it was different. We were educated that we use this mask one time, it goes on like this, it comes off like that, and that's how we keep ourselves safe, and we don't give it to the next person, no matter what the organism is.
Right.
But in this case, it was like, okay, well, now you're just going to wear this thing. and every day, and then you'll put it in a little box and give it to them, and they'll shine a light on it and make it clean or whatever, and they'll give it back and you put it back on your face. And we were like, this is not right. And so the fear in that alone was just, but I guess we trust it more now.
Right. Well,
You did not get, you did not get sick and you were exposed to a lot. So
That's true.
you must have done something.
well, again, from all of us here, we want to thank you for your services and your continued services, but most of all for your music.
Thank you.
I'm hoping that we're going to be able to safely get up to the area this summer. Last year, we had it all planned that we were going to surprise my brother Joel on his birthday. We were just going to go ring his doorbell and say, "Hey, happy birthday."
Right.
And it didn't happen, obviously. We then had plans. We were going to show up at his table on Thanksgiving. And then it was like, it's still not safe. So we have no date. What I've told my brother is that if I wake up one morning and it is safe, we're getting in the car and we're just coming up. And, we'll sleep on the floor if we have to, but just, make room. So,
Great.
Good start. I like that. That's a good idea. I mean, it is getting safer. People are
think so.
fast. You can be outside. Summer should be good. The summer's going to be good.
well,
And we gotta protect ourselves. So if you're in a situation that doesn't feel so safe, put the mask on. Get out of there.
and you know what? I did learn the mask is helping me with my allergies.
Oh
So
yeah, I bet.
when I go walking in the morning, I used to be sneezing my whole walk. And I noticed yesterday morning for the second time, I'm not sneezing. And it's like, you know what? This mask is worth it. I will continue to wear it as I walk, especially in allergy season. And I will
Sure.
continue to listen to your music when I walk, because I do that as well. That's
Great, thank you.
how I prepare. And stay in touch and come back on again soon, okay?
Thanks for
Great,
having
thank
us. It's really good
you.
to see you. I really like this. It's nice to actually see you when we talk.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
You're
Have a
looking
great day.
good.
Thanks. Bye-bye.